Dollar. Dirt on money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. Today, we have 3 real-life murder encounters. What would you do, man, if you encounter someone, you know what I'm saying? They gave you the weird, you know what I'm saying, kind of creepy vibes, and a week later you found out that individual had been wanted, you know what I'm saying, for murder, and they had murdered like 5 people. And they've been wanted for murder for about 5 years.
What do you do? All I can do is be thankful that
my antenna was working for me that day.
That I wasn't one, you know, like as sad as it sounds, it's just kind of like I was.
Cause like, how do you detect someone? How do you detect a murderer? Right?
How do you?
You never know somebody's a killer until they kill somebody. You never know what people are capable of until it actually happens.
What people are planning and plotting. You never know somebody get up and be like, today's going to be the day that I act on these urges that I've been having. Like, you just never know.
Because, like, I know a couple people who have, unfortunately, taken someone's life. I personally, and I'm like, yo, I never would have thought. And then some, I'm like, I saw it coming. You know what I'm saying? Like,
have people that you literally grew up with,
facts, man,
played with on the block, and you like
facts. Cause I remember my mom met this dude when she worked at the prison, and the dude was like, "Oh, you such and such." Mom talking about me. She was like, "Yeah, that's my son." She said, "He's like, oh yeah, I've been over your house before. I've been in." You know what I'm saying? She said, "You been to my house?" He said, "Yeah, we used to go over there hooping and stuff." My mom came home. She said, "Oh yeah, he been over here a couple times hooping and stuff." You know what I'm saying, in the backyard. Like,
you never
she
know.
Like, huh? I said, "Yeah, you just want to hear." Cause I used to have a lot of people come over and hoop. Like my crib was like the hoop spot, and so it used to be like sometimes she'll pull up into the crib and it's 30 dudes at the crib. We all hooping, just take a turn. But she was like, "He ended up for murder." I said, "Yeah, he had killed somebody when we was in high school, and he went on the run." She said, "We're on the run." I said, "Yeah, he was wanted, and we all knew it." Like, so yeah, it's a couple of them. I know.
Push somebody over the edge to do something, like in a situation, like you doing something at school or whatever. Like, what's the reason? Like, what happened? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But
you never know. Like the people you meet in life, you never know how they may turn out. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy though. But hey, with that being said, man, before we get into it, make sure you check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go if you want to first support. All you have to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
like it with a thumbs up.
But let's go. Let's check it out. Let's see what it's about, man. Let's get it.
When I was as young as 14, I started working at various gas stations in my town. My town was small. Everyone knew pretty much everyone, so the owners wouldn't care if I came in and helped out with stuff like mopping the floors, stocking the coolers, or even running the register at times, all for a small amount of cash. This all took place back in the early 90s in Florida. It was maybe 11 p.m. at night, and I was sitting at my usual spot at a table that was set up along the windows of the gas station. I would generally spend most of the nights at that table reading books and periodically getting up to do different chores. Now, being only 14, I obviously wasn't allowed to be the only one running the store at any given time. It would usually be me and a manager, or maybe another employee or two. This night, it was me and a guy named Jeff. Jeff was one of the part-time managers, and usually when it was only me and him, he would spend most of his time in the back, which basically left me to hold down the store by myself. This night was no different. I remember sitting at the register when I glanced up. Something had caught my attention that was especially odd. I could see a lady who was walking up our parking lot from the direction of the interstate. Like, there were literally no customer cars in the parking lot. Now, this in itself was weird, as because of where we were located, we would get almost nobody that would walk here, especially not from the direction of the interstate. I mean, the store was practically in the middle of nowhere along a very desolate interstate.
Oh, I know this story. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. It's crazy.
Do I know it?
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard it.
Yeah.
Nobody just walks this road. I figured she must have broken down somewhere and was coming up to fill a gas container or use the phone to call for a tow truck or something. After around a minute of me watching her, I realized she didn't have a container in her hands. She then came into the store and looked around for a few minutes. The whole situation just felt off. I remember getting a strange and disturbing vibe from her, just from the way she was looking around the store. By this point, Jeff had come out from the back and was standing behind the register with me. He would occasionally do this when customers came in. The lady then walked up to the counter and started telling us a story about how her car had broken down and that she needed a ride to some town I had never heard of before. Jeff promptly responded, saying that he was working and that there was no way he could take her, as he was the manager and couldn't leave me here alone. That's when the lady turned to look at me, as if to get my response. Before saying anything, I looked back at Jeff, who looked at me with a very cold and hard stare, subtly shaking his head as if to say no. And that was my assurance that I knew that he knew something was off about this lady. Now, before I could respond, she turned back to Jeff and pointed at me, asking if I could take her. Jeff quickly and sternly responded that I was too young to drive and said there was no way we could help her. I obviously didn't argue with Jeff about his response on my behalf, as to be quite honest, this was completely out of character for him. Jeff was normally friendly and even chatty with the customers, and this further supported the fact that Jeff knew something was off about this lady. The lady, now clearly infuriated, cussed us out and left. As she walked back down the parking lot, I kept an eye on her. I noticed she had stopped at the end of the parking lot, right next to the interstate itself. I also noticed she was now on a phone call and waited for maybe 2 minutes when a car pulled up, stopped right next to her, and let her in as if the car was expecting her. The whole situation was weird, yeah, but I never truly realized how much danger I was actually in that night until a while later. Almost a year passed. It was night, and I was in my bedroom falling asleep as the TV was on in the background. I don't know what channel it was on. Possibly some news channel or something, but regardless, something I heard on the TV snapped me wide awake. I sat up to look at the TV and was greeted with the mugshot of a lady on the screen. As soon as I saw her, I immediately knew. That was the same lady that I had been in the store with almost a year prior and who tried to lure either me or my manager to drive her into town. I was 100% sure that was...
What you looking at me like that for?
I say you.
Nah, because I said she was crazy, but I said, Lord forgive me. Let's not talk about the dead, man.
That's why I say you better.
That's why I hit her real fast, man. I said,
yeah, because I don't need no.
Because you know she said she coming back. Or... For real, bro. Remember she put
did. The love. She did. I said, man, that woman.
You don't want to talk about it.
I know. I mean, I wouldn't know it because she not,
Yeah.
But yeah.
She knows she was though.
Yeah, but me personally, I just.
But she knows she was though.
Yeah.
She even.
Me or my manager to drive her into town. I was 100% sure that was the same woman. It turns out the lady was Eileen Warnos, who was later convicted of being a serial murderer with a confirmed 7 victims who were all men. Eileen would lure her victims out into the middle of nowhere, and that's where she would shoot them at point-blank range. What disturbs me most is how close I was to becoming one of those victims myself.
Crazy.
From both the way she acted in the store and what I now know about her, I firmly believe her plans were to kill either me or my manager Jeff that night. To this day, I still have nightmares about what would have happened had we done what she said.
What?
Just imagine, because he said that sometimes it'd either be him, a manager, or 1 or 2, other workers. Just imagine if it was like someone else there with Jeff. I mean, not with Jeff, with him. They could stay there with him while Jeff took her
Jeff wasn't going.
Jeff won't go. But what if? Okay, I'm just saying hypothetically.
So hypothetically,
like,
if
some
it's
other
him,
worker was there,
another worker, and Jeff.
Maybe another.
And Jeff would have been like, "Nah, I ain't going," and then he would have said. Then the other worker,
well, hey, I can. I'll take her. Like, good thing.
Because then she said one reason why, like, because sometimes, like, because she was at one point a prostitute, wasn't she? And men will, like, sometimes forcefully push themselves up on her, or even when she was hiking, like, hitchhiking. And so that's the reason why she was, like, basically, like, men ain't never cared for me.
Like, this hatred, really hatred towards all men.
Yeah, and so she was, this is crazy, bro.
Yeah, but, yeah.
So, yeah, you never know. Won't want to find out, though.
What you said?
This happened to me and my wife back in the summer of 2017. We had actually only gotten married a few months prior, and obviously because of the wedding cost, our financial situation wasn't the best. And this made it so that we could only afford a place to live that was super cheap and that would let us pay week to week. But luckily, we were able to find just that in the form of a boarding house in our city. The house was 3 stories and had 4 rooms, with a shared kitchen and a bathroom for everyone. We moved into one of the rooms on the 2nd floor. Now, obviously with it being a boarding house, we had to share with a few other people. The most noteworthy ones being a young couple named Jim and Jennifer just above us in a room on the 3rd floor. And in the 3 months we lived there, they were the only neighbors we talked to. They seemed similar to us in both age and interests, but we usually just talked to them in passing, or even sometimes on the front porch, where we were all out having a cigarette. Though, after a few weeks, we would quickly realize that they didn't get along too well. It started off with small things, like hearing them yell at each other for short durations of time, or hearing one of them angrily leave the house in some absurd hour of the night. But the short fights didn't last long. They would get only longer and louder as time went on. Though, that was until one day. My wife and I were watching a movie, and the whole time the usual fights were taking place just above us. But right as the movie ended, we both noticed they abruptly stopped. Don't get me wrong, it was nice to finally have peace and quiet, but it was completely out of character for them. I mean, this never happened. They would almost never just abruptly stop yelling at each other, especially at this point in the night. Though, even still, we both agreed that we should take advantage of the silence and try to go to sleep. And luckily we were able to. But just for me to be woken up in the middle of the night by my wife, who was shaking me and looking off toward the side of our bed. I was tired and completely out of it. I didn't know what time it was, or why I was being woken up. Out of habit, I turned over to get up. But when I did, I could make out a man standing right next to our bed, hunched over my nightstand going through the drawer. I was in absolute disbelief. After locking eyes, he stood up from his hunched position and proceeded to just stare at me.
What?
I sat up on my bed, and the guy started backing up slowly. I honestly didn't know if what I was seeing was real or just my imagination. But after turning on our room's lamp, I realized it was our upstairs neighbor Jim, the same one who was always yelling and keeping us up late. I was a little relieved, but still, why was he going through our stuff while we were sleeping? It was completely out of character for him. After calming down for a second, I said, "Well, what's up, Jim? What are you doing in our room, man?" After a few seconds of silence, Jim responded by asking if he could borrow our car, or if we could take him somewhere. My wife, who was now fully awake, screamed at him no, not after he broke into her room at 3 in the morning. She told him that if he didn't leave, she was going to call the cops. And Jim responded to this by full-on sprinting out of the room. But not just the room. The dude full-on ran out the front door and down the street in a seemingly random direction. I looked at my wife, and we both agreed that something was clearly off about the whole situation.
Hell yeah.
We figured at this point we had to go upstairs and check on Jim's wife, Jennifer. And so we do. We go upstairs, and the first thing we notice is the door to the room was shut, but it wasn't locked. I told my wife we should probably just leave her alone, but she insisted against it. So I reluctantly knocked and shouted the usual hello. After no response, we slowly turned the doorknob and pushed the door open. What we saw next was straight out of a horror movie. The room looked terrible, as if someone had just gone crazy hitting random areas with an axe. That's when we noticed Jennifer lying on the floor face down. We walked over to her, thinking that Jim had knocked her unconscious. But as we got closer, we realized there was fresh blood staining the carpet underneath her.
Wow.
In complete horror, we called the cops immediately. We explained to them that we believed we had just walked into a murder scene, but that the murderer himself had already left. The police would tell us to leave the room and wait outside until they arrived. And sure enough, they would arrive not even 5 minutes later. After explaining everything that happened that night, the cops set out a search for Jim. And luckily, they were able to find him around an hour later, still running down the street. After further talking with the cops, they said it looked like Jim was trying to find a gas station so that he could get fuel to help him burn the whole house down, with the goal of burning Jennifer's dead body inside. This in turn would remove all evidence connecting him to the murder, though Jim would ultimately be convicted with the murder of his own wife. For the next couple of days, both me and my wife couldn't leave the house, as every time we tried, we would be swarmed by different news reporters asking us for an interview. Me and my wife would of course move out as soon as we found the funds to do so, but still, the whole thing was insanely terrifying. I mean, in the middle of the night, we had unknowingly come face to face with a man who had just murdered his own wife, and who was ultimately planning to murder us in the process of destroying the evidence.
True, he literally would have killed every last individual in that house.
Every person. Just to cover up his...
And that would have been a mass murder. Because all y'all would have been dead. He would have been as long...
And would have been long gone, probably.
Well, it still would have been very... What was it? Did you hear something? I don't know what that was. Oh, I think it was a cord. But
they would have eventually probably found him, but I'm just saying...
But it still would have been very suspicious, though. Don't be suspicious.
Yeah.
But it would have been very suspicious because everybody died except for you. Why did everybody die except for you? And we would have found out where there was arson. And we would have looked at the body and we can tell that the body even though the house burned down, she was already dead before. Like
before the fire.
You could tell, like, it ain't that.
Yeah, so
still would have got caught.
Yeah. Most definitely.
You would have been, because you would have been a lone survivor, so we would have known you would have got away, because we could tell there would have been arson on top of that. Mm-hmm. So
good thing they went up to the room, and good thing the wife was like, "No, we about to go in."
Good thing the wife had her antennas going, because y'all know how men be.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of men be, man, I ain't finna be bothered with nobody else's business. I'm finna stay. I know that's how I am. Hey, you don't want to be like, I ain't trying to be in nobody else's business. That's what they got going on. I don't know. But nah,
I feel it, honey. I feel it in my gut,
I would
baby,
be like,
and I'm gonna trust it.
Go up there then if you want.
I will.
No, you wouldn't. You'd be like, so you ain't gonna come with me?
I'm like, you can stay here.
No, you wouldn't.
Fine. Yes, I would.
No, you wouldn't. You would be like, so you ain't gonna go with me? So you just gonna let me go up there by myself? Like, see, you said you wanted to go up there by yourself.
Don't worry about it. I'll go by myself.
No, you still would have harassed me to go until I went up there. Yeah, you would.
I ain't begging nobody.
You always been like that though.
No, I ain't always been like that.
You have always been like that though. See.
Anyway, child. Anyway, but this crazy. This is a crazy story. I'm glad that she did that and they was able to call the police and get him right away before he was able to make it to the gas station. Cause my goodness. But yeah.
True. Let go.
This happened 2 years ago, when I was working for a very large carpet cleaning company. It's exactly what you'd expect. I'd spend the whole workday going from house to house, completely deep cleaning the residents' carpets with a lot of different tools and machinery. I was 22 and a female. I'm actually pretty sure I was one of the only females working for this company. But at the same time, I really enjoyed it. And if I'm being honest, I was actually really good at the job. So, because of this, I was given a lot of work, and would usually hit between 6 to 8 houses daily, driving all across multiple towns. This night, I was working late, as one of the houses I cleaned earlier in the day took way longer than expected, which of course sent me back the rest of the day. I'd say it was around 7 p.m. when I had one house left to do for the day. Though, upon arrival at the given address, I quickly realized it was in the middle of nowhere. And after knocking on the front door, I also realized no one was home. I was annoyed, yeah, but realistically, I was the one that was late for the appointment. I decided to wait until someone came home, as I knew I'd get chewed out by my boss if I left without cleaning anything. And luckily, 10 minutes later, the resident pulled up next to my van. He was a middle-aged man, balding, wearing dirty shorts and a jacket. He honestly seemed a bit awkward, but was apologetic and let me into his house with all my needed equipment. Upon entering, I instantly realized the carpet and just the house in general was already unbelievably clean. I mean, it even smelled like cleaning supplies had just been used.
Leave the house.
I already know what
Leave
that's
the
about
house.
to be, child.
Leave the house. It's already clean. Why am I here? Why, honestly, why am I here if it's already clean? Suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
To be honest, it was a little weird. I wasn't used to seeing already clean carpets upon arrival. I was genuinely questioning whether me cleaning them would even make a difference. But regardless, I followed protocol and pulled out my company laptop to calculate how much it was going to cost before starting. Hey, do they keep track of where you are on that thing? His question caught me off guard.
Oh, but yes.
That was an immediate red flag. After the initial shock from the question, I replied saying that it did, and that my boss knew exactly how long each job should take. In reality, this was a complete lie. The laptop was literally just used to run a program that can calculate how much to charge a customer based on the inputted amount of work. But I felt like I had to lie, as there was definitely something off about this guy. Regardless, I started cleaning. I just figured the quicker I could clean these carpets, and the quicker I could get out of here and call it a day. Fast forward around an hour later, and I was finished. I hastily met up with the guy to explain I was done, and how much he owed me. But before I could, he interrupted me. He asked me if I could also clean his basement carpets, as he forgot to list them when he ordered the service. My heart literally dropped.
You know what I would have said? You have to put in another order. Or
Yes,
you have to come out
I want to see
another
what you was gonna
day.
say. Yes,
I would
and we'll
most
have to come
definitely
out
say
another day.
even though I'm
unfortunately.
already here, I have another appointment. It's already scheduled. I'm running late for
I'm
it.
running late for that.
Because I won't even say because I started on yours late. Cause that might be a trigger. That might be a trigger.
Don't say too much.
Don't say
Because
too much.
sometimes
Just
you
say
get too much information.
I'm running late for
First. Don't even say you running.
No,
late for
I have
nothing.
another appointment scheduled. I need to go ahead and head
The
out.
first part would have been fine,
and I got another
but
appointment.
if you wanted to add the other, so because you know that someone else is expecting you.
Yeah.
You can add that.
Because you
Don't
already
say
know
you
they
running
tracking
late for
me.
nothing.
I already told you they're tracking
Yeah.
me, and they know they have my schedule and everything. And
I said
have
what
to
you
be
said
on.
was good. Just don't add the
Yeah.
I'm running. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say that. Yeah, never mind. I want to say that part.
Yeah.
But let them know I'll have another
'Cause y'all, he
appointment.
overgives information.
You'll have to schedule another appointment. And we'll be gladly to come out.
Just be quiet. Just
Just
the
ain't
bare
no wrong
minimum.
with saying that.
The bare minimum.
Girl, you
No, I
ain't
ain't
be doing
going to
the
no
bare.
basement.
Hell no, I ain't going no damn basement with your ugly.
I just wanted to be done with this and get out of here. But my stupid customer service conditioned brain couldn't figure out how to get away with saying no. The guy led me to his basement door, opened it, and gave me a hand signal as if to gesture that I was to go down first.
Nah, baby.
I
We ain't doing
hesitated,
that.
but ultimately I did. Once I got to the bottom, I was horrified. The basement looked horrible compared to the rest of the house.
That's the
Not only
murder
was it
room.
unfinished with no carpet whatsoever, but there were clearly 7 deep freezers lining the walls. In the middle of the room was a lit, low-hanging ceiling light revealing an old television set, VHS tapes scattered all over the floor, and an old recliner facing the TV. Behind the set were 2 white shelves full of VHS tapes. The whole while I'm looking at the basement, the guy stood at the top of the steps blocking the doorway with a disturbing smile on his face.
Oh, no.
I looked up at him and said, yeah man, let me go get my stuff. With absolutely no intention of cleaning anything, I just wanted to get out of there. I held my breath and began to walk back up the stairs. The whole while, all I could hear was my own heartbeat in my ears.
Baby.
But as I got to about the third stair from the top, the guy was still blocking the door, with still that disturbing smile on his face. I stood there for maybe 20 seconds, just looking at the guy, waiting for him to get out of the way, when I swear I could hear footsteps in the basement behind me. Out of pure instinct and adrenaline, without even looking back, I charged towards the guy in front of me. Luckily, I was able to break past him, and right as I did, I beelined it out of the front door and into my van parked outside. I was leaving thousands of dollars of cleaning equipment behind.
Fuck that.
But honestly, in that moment, I didn't care. I legitimately felt like my life was in danger. As I was pulling away, I glanced back at the house one last time, and I saw the same man looking out one of the windows, now with no smile on his face, but rather a cold, hard stare. I thought I could see another person, but I honestly don't know. The whole memory is sort of just a blur. The truth of the matter is that my boss would not have noticed I was missing for at least 24 hours when I didn't show up for my shift the next day.
Facts.
The next morning, I would call my boss, tell him everything, and ultimately quit that very day. As far as I know, they got the police involved, but I try to distance myself from the whole situation, so I really don't know what ended up happening. I suffered PTSD over this experience. That day still haunts me. And to this day, I can't explain what I found in that basement or the sounds of footsteps I thought to have heard behind me. But one thing's for certain. I believe that man and whoever else was there had planned to kill me that night for some sick reason or another.
Bro, be careful on going to these house calls. If you got a career job like that, be careful, man. You never know what sick people got, you know what I'm saying, going on in their crib. A lot of them do be, that's how they get people. That's how they get people.
Because you're taking all different type of clients. It ain't like you're doing checks on these people to see who, how, you know, you put in the order, you willing to pay the money? Okay, we about to put this on your schedule.
Yeah, that's sad, bro.
And then most of those you're going by yourself. Like, you're on those by yourself. Like to clean. That's scary.
That's beyond scary, man.
But good thing she was able to get out.
Yeah. But hey, man, y'all spam us up in the comments. Please let us know y'all thoughts for us about it in the comment section down below. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and C.
We out.
Ain't no time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar, 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 dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money low, get my team strong. Let me run away from my